Hi guys, Star here with my first video on jewelry design tutorial. In this video, you will be able to see how I make this beautiful bracelet with few items only. First of all, we make sure that we have the right pliers. For that reason, I'm going to need two different kinds of chin nose pliers, scissors, beading thread, yellow glass beads. For the finishing, I'm using lobster clasp and jump rings. For the center of the bracelet, I have chosen these two beautiful colors of beads, blue and white pearl. Lastly, we need measuring tape to measure the length of our bracelet. Let's begin with measuring my wrist using this measuring tape. For security purposes, you need to lock the measuring tape. My wrist size is 20 centimeters or 8 inches. I am going to make the bracelet based on this length. Inside this length, I have to make sure that I leave some space for the clasp and finishing of the bracelet. Therefore, I will use 7 inch for the beads and 1 inch for the clasp. In order to be specific and exact in my measurement, I'm going to place my beads on the tape to know how many of them I would require. For now, I'm thinking 18 beads would be enough. However, we need to see the density of the beads and keep the measurements intact as we go along. In case if the bracelet is shorter, then I'm going to add this 2 as well. The following step would be to measure our beading thread using the tape. My wrist size is 8 inches and I cannot just measure 8 inches and use it. I have to make sure the thread size is double the size of my wrist. One of the most important moments while measuring the thread, never be afraid to have extra. It's always better to have extra than not having enough. Let me cut the beading thread to begin the process. Here is the actual bracelet making process begins. For that, I'm taking one of the jump rings and securing it with the beading thread. You would also need to make sure that the threads are equal and the jump ring is located at the center. For more security, I like to tie it for few times. After securing the jump ring, I will open my glass beads and spread some on my table. I have ordered this online via Shopee. You may also find these items either from the craft store or online like me. I will leave all the links of the items in the video description below. I'm going to add 4 glass beads on each side of the thread. Once one side is done, you may move to the next. Now the exciting moment begins by adding the pearls. For that reason, I have chosen blue color as my first bead. Now, take the threads and cross them between the hole of the bead. The first round is ready. You may notice how the yellow glass beads are complementing the blue bead beautifully. The jump ring is standing straight as I wanted. In addition to that, the thread is not that visible, even though I have rounded few times. Round 2. Let's first collect our glass beads for each side of the thread. Once we are done with it, let's carry on to the main bead in between. This time, I will switch the color to white. We will follow the same step as the first round. Push the white bead close to the blue one. If you make it tighter, it's okay, since the thread will slightly loosen up by few times of wearing it. This is how the bracelet will look for the coming rounds. Round 3. The bracelet is getting into shape and becoming more beautiful. While crossing the threads between beads, it may get twisted, which is very natural since my thread is long and still forming its shape. Another factor is that the beads we are working on are 2 different sizes, which affects the twist. For that reason, you need to tighten it well after every round. In order to avoid the twist, do not do double crossing after the beads. It will end up losing its shape and it will not look nice at the end. Final round is here. Ending will be the same as the beginning. I will close the beads by securing it few times over. I do not feel right to tie it only once. If you think twice is enough for you, you may stop at that point. The thread is not visible at this time. Since it's a big bracelet, I'm going to one more round of security. For the finishing, I'm going to add another jump ring to the bracelet. For security purpose, I'm going round for 3 times to tie jump ring to the bracelet. Now the bracelet part is done. I will cut off the extra thread from the bracelet. Make sure that you cut the thread close to the jump ring, but be careful of cutting the actual thread of the bracelet. Wow, look at this amazing bracelet which we just made in the matter of 15 minutes with few items only. This bracelet has 2 ends which we will use for the clasp and finishing of it. Now let me see how the bracelet will look in my arms, as well as let me measure if the bracelet was the correct size as I expected. I have left few centimeters of the space for finishing. This is perfect. Now we move on to the last part. In order to work with jump rings, I need my pliers to open and close the jump rings. I will use one of my chin nose pliers to hold the jump ring. Never pull the jump ring from each side. Instead, just move it to opposite direction like me. While the jump ring is open, I'm going to attach the bracelet to it along with the lobster clasp and close it gently in the same manner. We are now done with one side of the bracelet. You may add more jump rings if you wish, but it's best to keep it at 1 or maximum 2 jump rings for the lobster clasp. Now we move on to the next side of the bracelet. For that, I'm going to use the jump ring as a chain. If you have gotten chain, then you may just add it after the first jump ring and let the finishing be as it is. By now, the bracelet can reach my wrist and can be closed by the clasp. However, I do not want to stop over here, but instead, I want to give it a nice finishing touch by adding more rings to hang around my wrist with a beautiful bead at the end. Let's add the finishing touch by attaching extra bead at the end. We are almost there. Now I'm going to attach the finishing touch to the last jump ring. Here, you need to make sure the thread is tied properly few times and cut off the extra thread from it. Our bracelet is ready to be worn. You may make this bracelet for yourself or as a gift to your friends or relatives. Handmade bracelets are priceless since you have invested your time and love towards making it. This bracelet can be worn with light colored clothes for casual as well as for special occasions. I wanna try it out on myself, how it would look. When you wear the bracelet, the beads go into nice shape and wrinkle disappears from it. You may always adjust it based on your wrist size. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you would like me to make more of jewelry craft videos, you may leave a comment in the comment section below. Please do not forget to subscribe and hit the like button down there. For all the materials used in this video, I will leave the links in the video description below. I'm your host Star. Talk to you in the next one.